Hello, I'm User Friendly's assistant, and this is going to be a beginner video on how to make a kick drum or synthesize a kick drum. I'm going to use Drift because it's available in Intro, Standard, and Suite. This little light here is turned on, and this little light here is turned on. That's so I can trigger it with my keyboard, pressing A or W, so on and so forth, all the way up the keyboard. If you want to shift it down an octave, hit Z. Or X to go back up. Now, the main part of the sound design here is going to be with the envelopes. They're going to probably end up being the most important part of this. I'm going to turn this second oscillator off and switch this over to a square wave. So the way an envelope works, if you don't know, the attack is going to be how long it takes the sound to go from 0 to 100%. So I'm going to turn these other knobs down. And this is going to take about a second and a half. And then you can hear it, it just immediately turns off. If we increase the decay, now a key point here is I'm still holding down on the note, but we don't hear anything. That's going to be the sustain portion. So now I'm going to hold the note down again. And you see it kind of fell down a little bit. I'm going to turn it up to 100%. Now, this knob has no effect because the sustain portion, it's not dropping down to anything. It's just staying at 100%. Now, another key thing is I was repeatedly hitting that note there. If I shorten this to like a second, now I'm going to hit the key really fast. Now I'm going to hold it down. The reason that's happening is because I'm hitting the key too fast for the envelope to finish this portion of the envelope. So this attack stage, I'm hitting it faster than 2 seconds. That same thing is going to apply with decay. So if I shorten this envelope again, back down to a 0. So I'm going to increase this, and then the release is going to be how long it takes for the sustain portion to go to 0. Now I'm going to let go of the note. I'm going to let go of the note again. So that's how an envelope works. The second envelope down here, it works the exact same way. It's just not going to be turning the volume up and down. It's going to be turning the filter and the pitch up and down. So if I turn this frequency knob all the way down, if you look down here, frequency modulation, it says envelope 2. That's going to be this envelope. If I turn it up to 100%, that means in the shape of this envelope, this knob is going to go all the way up, back down, and then when I let go of the key, turn all the way off. This release knob, if I have it set to 2 seconds and this one to under a second, this release portion, we're not actually going to hear it because the amp envelope is going to close before this can finish. It's even more apparent when you add the pitch modulation. That's going to be down here. You can see it also says envelope 2, pitch modulation, and it's at 100%. The same as with this. It's basically just wherever it starts from, it's going to go 100% of the way up and then back down in the shape of this envelope. It sounds like it's dropping. Like it doesn't sound like what you were expecting. That's because this attack is at 0. So it's immediately going to 100%. If we increase this, so I'm going to leave it down here like this, that there, this here. And now listen to the pitch. You can hear that we're not hearing that last stage. It's because this is cutting it off. So if I increase this and shorten this, we can hear that release stage. So to shape the kick, let me turn the pitch mod off. That's kind of a bass sound. We turn this up. You can hear that that's sort of got the kick sort of tone to it. But again, the pitch mod is going to start from, whatever note that you hit. So we might want to shift this down or shift the octave for the MIDI note down. If we do too long, it's going to be sort of a drop or a riser depending on the attack and decay. Too short, and it's just going to sound like a bass note with a click. The middle is going to be kind of like tom territory, and then somewhere in between there is going to be the best kick area. Now, this is controlling both the filter and the pitch. On a traditional synth, you would probably have an envelope for the amp, the filter, and the pitch, and you could sort of control each one individually. But Drift just has the 2 envelopes. I'm going to turn this second oscillator up. The only thing I did there was change the wave shape. Even though this filter is cutting most of that, most of those frequencies out, you can still hear sort of tonal changes by changing these waves around. The square wave is going to kind of give you something similar to noise for like the initial transient. That's going to be most of, there's a million different ways that you can sort of change this up. There's little tricks like boosting the resonance, but this sort of envelope shaping is going to be the main thing for the amp, the filter, and the pitch. From there, all this stuff is just going to be to taste. So the type of kick that you're looking for. One thing I would suggest is that in the effects part of it, a saturator and a compressor. The compressor doesn't actually need to be there in the sense that compressor is traditionally added. So you can see that they're basically always the same level. But a compressor will also kind of change the tone of it. And it'll become even more apparent if you add some saturation. Now, once you've added this saturation and compression, it might be worth going back to the synth and just playing with a few of the controls to see how those effects are affecting the sound. if you get that click, see this was at 100%, you're still getting that click. Some of that is because the oscillator is constantly running in the background, and when this envelope is triggered, it's not at the beginning of the phase. You can turn this re-trigger on, then it'll restart every time. But that click isn't entirely from that. It's also from the square wave here. So now you can hear a little bit more. This down here, that's what you're going to want to modulate to get rid of that if you don't want it. So again, this knob down here is just making this knob go from 0 up to here and back down, whereas before it was going from here up to here and back down. As they're set right now, it's going up a little bit and then back down. And now at 100%, it's going all the way up and back down to where it started. This basic layout, so the amp envelope, pitch envelope, filter envelope, or the combination of the two, filter and pitch in this case, that's going to be what the setup is for just about any synth. So whether you're using drift or operator or whatever else, it's always going to be some combination of these same couple things. All right, I hope that was helpful.